1900, so like, project, or no life, it's hold down, in the club.
In U.S. news this past year, the presidential race was definitely a highlight, with the two candidates narrowing down to Donald Trump, the Republican, and Hillary Clinton, the Democrat. Many argued the race wasn't about the issues enough and more on who can be portrayed as the worst candidate. People believed that Hillary Clinton would dominate the campaign in the end, but from a surprising finish, Trump took vital states that were expected to go Democrat but went in favor of the Republicans. Trump won with a 302 to 232 lead in the Electoral College. This presidential race really split our country, causing riots and rants from celebrities and people of power. Throughout the race, people tried to attack Trump for things he said and done in the past, and people also attacked Hillary for the same things. Trump will be sworn into office on January 20th, making him our 45th president. People believe that Trump won't succeed, but now we will just have to wait and see. Now to Zeph for sports.
Raindrops, drop top, smoking, no cooking, the hot box. Cooking on your bitch, yeah, that. Cooking up in the crock pot. We can.
Thanks, Abby. In this week's sports news, Tom Brady came into Sunday's matchup against the Los Angeles Rams with 200 wins as a starting quarterback, tying him with his recently retired contemporary, Peyton Manning, for most ever. With the New England Patriots hosting the Rams, it seemed a given that Brady would get his record-setting 201st win. No one expected it would be quite as easy as it was, with the Patriots holding Los Angeles to just 7 first downs and 162 yards of offense, nearly all of those coming in the second half, in a 26-10 win. As the game ended, Brady accepted congratulations from his teammates and also members of the Rams and coaching staff. Some fans in the South End Zone area even brought signs that read, "Brady is the GOAT, #201, to commemorate this momentous occasion for Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. In more sports news this week, Miami Marlins star pitcher Jose Fernandez had cocaine in his system when he and 2 friends were killed in a boat crash last month off Miami Beach, the Miami-Dade County Medical Examiner's Office had said Saturday. Associate Medical Examiner Kenneth Hutchins listed boat crash as the cause of death and also said Fernandez was legally drunk with a blood alcohol concentration of .47. Fernandez, age 24, suffered blunt force trauma injuries to the head and torso, along with skull and jaw fractures when the boat he was in hit a jetty near Miami Beach in the early morning hours of September 25th. Fernandez and 2 friends, Emilio Jesus Macias and Eduardo Rivero, were found dead later that morning after their boat was discovered near South Point Beach on Government Cut. Coast Guard personnel on patrol noticed the vessel upside down on the north end of a rocky shore jetty shortly after 3:15 a.m. Authorities have not determined who was piloting the boat which Fernandez owned.
Recently, in world weather, Beijing, China has been experiencing serious smog that's affecting people's health. This is the highest the pollution in the air has been for a long time. Schools and workplaces are closing, and they are even advising people to not leave their homes because of how dangerous it can be. People can no longer leave their houses or workplaces without masks over their faces. Children and adults are all making stops to the hospital and the doctor over illnesses caused by this deadly air quality. People have been put in red alert, the emergency alert that was put in place in 2015 amidst the terrible smog. Normal air quality according to the AQI is around 0 to 100 being moderate, and China's smog is up to 250 plus being hazardous to be experiencing. Luckily, this hazardous smog only lasts for a couple of days, but it can be a very difficult challenge if nothing changes. If China continues to do the same thing, polluting their air, then it's only going to get worse, affecting more and more people. Now to Alex Coviello with World News.
Wednesday, January 4th, 2017, around 21 inmates in a Philippine prison that had escaped during an armed raid have thankfully been recaptured. Close to as many as 158 inmates had escaped from the North Cotabato District Jail in Catanduanes City in the southern Philippines. According to the spokesman of the Philippines Bureau of Jail Management Penology, Xavier Solde, The inmates found the opportunity to flee after armed men raided the compound. The attack occurred at around 1:15 on Wednesday. Over 100 armed men were attacked, which lasted over 2 hours. Unfortunately, one jail officer was killed and another injured during the attack. The inmates had managed to escape through the back jail. 5 inmates died throughout the manhunt in total. Before the attack, the prison had accounted for 1,511 inmates. Jail warden Peter John Bognat told CNN that it's believed that the Moro Islamic Liberation Front was responsible for this attack. This group has been fighting for an autonomous region for Muslims in the southern island of Mindanao. It has been reported that most of the prisoners that had escaped had affiliations with the MILF group, while others just tagged along. Bognat also reported that the Philippines National Police reported to the prison that an attack was being planned for that day, which was inaccurate considering that the attack was on the 4th. The prison is continuing to retrieve inmates and bring them back to the prison. They have involved the Philippines Special Action Force, the Army, and the BJMP Special Tactics and Response. Catholic Cardinals deserve a break, and now they can get one at the newly opened McDonald's only yards away from the one and only Vatican. The fast food chain opened on Friday despite the protests in the Vatican-owned building in Piero Borgo district of Rome. It is only 100 yards away from the Vatican State. The chain had managed to keep their opening low-key to avoid a great amount of opposition. They had made no announcement and it was not noted in the Vatican newspaper. The restaurant quickly gained the name McVatican, causing rage in the people. The only online source that shows that the McVatican exists is on the McDonald's Italia's online map. McDonald's has even offered to pay the Vatican's property supervisor $30,000 a month for the bottom floor of the building. 2 other McDonald's are in close links to the Vatican, one 200 yards away from the Vatican Museum and another 200 yards away at Viale Giulio. The opening of the restaurant has caused a huge controversy due to the fact that it's on actual Vatican property. It also occupies the bottom floor that's home to several senior cardinals. Cities across Italy have been turning up the heat against fast food restaurants. McDonald's filed a $20 million lawsuit against Florence after the mayor of the Renaissance city turned down the application to open one of its restaurants there.
Four days into the new year, the city of Hoboken is already dealing with its first water main break. In 2016 alone, they dealt with 20 of them. On Wednesday, a water main broke on Observe Highway, leaving people living in a 300-unit apartment building nearby waterless. Sue's Water's contract stated she wanted to run the system that pays the city just $1/3 a year, while Hoboken must use the money to repair pipes since it owns them, city officials have said. Mayor Don Zimmer stated, "I want to make sure that they have an agreement that's fair to the people of Hoboken and offers the most investments each year as possible." Meanwhile, $17 million will be spent this year on a new water main and repaving, while another $5 million will be bonded to replace the miles of 100-year-old pipes.
For the 5th consecutive year, New Jersey has the doubtful distinction as ranking #1 state residents have left behind, according to the new survey. The Garden State placed first as the quote-unquote most moved from state in the United Van Line's 40th annual National Mover Study. In 2016, 63% of residents were moving out of New Jersey than more people moving in, according to that survey, with American quote-unquote outbound list. Of course, those moving out of New Jersey, about 40% said they were relocating for a job, 30% said that they were exiting for retirement, and 20% were going because they just wanted a change of lifestyle. New Jersey is really losing big segments of that population. And it's not just one-off, it's pretty consistent, said Michael Stoll. Stoll also added, New Jersey has a disproportionate population of baby boomers who are near or at the age of retirement and are being driven out of the state by big housing costs and skyrocketing local property taxes, as well as cold weather. United Van Lines' survey registered 5,489 moves in and out of the state since last year, according to Melissa Sullivan.
President-elect Donald Trump lashed out on Democrats on Thursday over their efforts to preserve President Obama's healthcare coverage law, insulting their top legislative leader and denouncing the measure as a lie, as he called for a less expensive and more effective system. The Democrats, led by head clown Chuck Schumer.
Keep going.
How bad Obamacare is and what a mess they are in, Trump wrote on his Twitter. The post arrived the day after Mr. Obama huddled with Democrats on Capitol Hill to strategize over protecting the Affordable Health Care Act, and Vice President-elect Mike Pence met with Republicans about how to gut it. Mr. Trump continued on Twitter, "The fact is, Obamacare was a lie from the beginning. Keep your doctor, keep your plan," he said. It was time for Republicans and Democrats to work together on a plan that really works, much less expensive and far better.
To add to that, Senate Republicans convened a hearing on Thursday to examine intelligence that the Russians engaged in computer hacking to affect the outcome of the presidential campaign. Mr. Trump has disputed that the Russians were to blame, and he criticized American intelligence agencies for their work. Mr. Schumer responded later Thursday, saying the president-elect was, quote, in a difficult spot on the issue. He also stated, Mr. Trump should roll up his sleeves and show us a replacement plan that will cover the 20 million Americans who gain coverage, that will cover students or post-college students ages 21 to 26 who want to stay on their parents' plan, that will show how we cover people with pre-existing conditions.
Republicans must be careful in that the Democrats own the failed Obamacare disaster, with its poor coverage and massive premium increases, Mr. Trump writes on his Twitter. Mr. Obama took a subtle swipe at the president-elect in a farewell letter without naming him, writing that Americans never voted for rolling back the health care measure. What won't help is taking health care away from 30 million Americans, most of them white and working class, denying overtime pay to workers, most of whom have more than earned it, or privatizing Medicare and Social Security, and letting Wall Street regulate itself again, none of which middle-class Americans voted for.
Which is actually really false, because most Republicans voted for Trump to repeal Obamacare. But whatever. Mr. Trump on Thursday spent more than an hour sitting for a deposition in New York as a part of his legal feud with the renowned chef Jose Andres, who Mr. Trump is suing for pulling out a plan to open a new restaurant in his luxury hotel near the White House. Mr. Andres, who is Spanish-American, has said that he canceled the project because of Mr. Trump's disparaging rhetoric about Mexican immigrants during his presidential campaign. To end.
Cannot wait for Trump to be in office in 10 days.
Everyone's gonna be like, oh my god,
Oh my God,
no! He's horrible!